Hello everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1121 of our daily content grind. I'm trying to pick up things that I've left for too long, and one of those is the finale for Season 2 of Earthspark. Mid-season finale. I should point out, I did see something online that new episodes might be coming out sometime this month. I don't know how reliable that press release was, because it was, there wasn't any on major news site. But just in case, I wanted to make sure I get this video out before any new episodes potentially drop. So yeah, we are looking at the mid-season finale, which is Witwicky Part 1 and 2. This is the culmination of the entire Chaos storyline, the culmination of the Ember Shard storyline. And it starts off by the announcement that they've accounted for all of the Ember Shards from the Ember Stone itself. All the ones, they currently have an even mix. The Decepticons have theirs, and then there's the two in the Chaos Terrans. So all of them are accounted for. It's just a matter of who gets the others first. So it's time to celebrate. Unless you're Mo, because in order to kick this story off, she has to be late for a history report, because family drama. But that takes her back to the ruins, the place where they found the Quintesson. This is because we are dealing with like a mid-season finale, and they like to do these like 10 episode long story arcs. We're going to see a lot of returning elements in these next two episodes, which I like what they do. I like when they do that, because it kind of reminds us of like, the world we have kind of built in this series. And it kind of gives everything a little bit more feeling. It gives everything a little bit more energy to it. Like all these places don't just exist for like one-off stories. Like it's like a world that keeps going on. So I kind of like when elements like that come back. Elements like the tunnels under Witwicky, which hashtag and Mo fall into finding another dweller. Multiple dwellers, as a matter of fact. And there's no cave water this time. There's no Starscream to make like a heroic sacrifice attempt to save hashtag. They just have to run and run and run. And again, we get a lot of those familiar elements from the last time we saw the Dweller, like the doors that only the Terrans could open. One of those leads to this face, which seems to be completely embedded in the cave stone. This is Titan Terratronus. We learned that this is the very first creation of Quintus Prime here on Earth, which makes her the very first Terran. And as such, she was set in, she is there to basically give the backstory of Quintus Prime, which we finally get to learn in this episode. So, while this is all going on, by the way, the rest are having a party. So, discovering a Titan, having cake. And we know, we make sure that everyone in the cast has something important to do every episode. So, backstory of Quintus Prime. So we're finally bringing that story back, and we're getting kind of a wrap-up conclusion, because we already know Quintus Prime's kind of vanished. So now it's time to hear about, like, where he came from. So Quintus is, Quintus used the Ember Stone to travel the universe and seed planets with life in order to create allies for Cybertron, the first of which are the Quintessons. So good to have like a series that like puts that two and two together. I really like, it's nice to see that. Also, I love the design of the Earthspark Quintesson. We saw the Executioner before, which is just kind of like a standard soldier based on one of the G1 styles. But, like, I like this Quintesson better than the last time we saw them on, which one was it? Cyberverse. I like this design better than those. I like it better than the one in Transformers 1. I'm sorry, it's not a Quintesson if it only has one head. This is a traditional looking Quintesson with some very gnarly kind of like modern detail and styles to the faces, and I like it a lot. I want to see these things as main villains. But they feel resentment toward Quintus because Quintus created them and moved on. They had no idea what their purpose was. He just created them and then, in their view, abandoned them. They take it personally. So they basically follow Quintus through the universe, exterminating all the other races that he's created out of vengeance, until Quintus makes it to a primeval Earth. Back before even dinosaurs were a thing. This was just a husk of a planet. There, he buries the Ember Shard and he creates. I have to stop and remember her name every time. He creates Terratronus in order to stand guard over the Emberstone, which I know I keep messing up the name of that. Quiet. I'm kidding. But there she waits, and she fights off. She tricks the Quintessons into thinking that Quintus left with the stone, and she is too powerful and basically too large for anything like the dwellers that the Quintessons left behind to breach her defenses and either extinguish her spark or find the stone. But over eons and eons and eons of time, with her power going unused, she's slowly growing weaker until she's in the dormant state that Mo and Hashtag find her in. They're not the only ones who have found her. The Chaos Twins are getting in. So here's the trick. What we've been seeing, all the underground caves that are all connected. We found out in this episode they're all connected to each other. The water, all of that we've been seeing underneath and around Witwicky, that's all Terratronus. They've basically been exploring inside her body. That's where the tunnel systems and doors are. I'm assuming the water is her form of energon that's still flowing in her. It's a pretty big revelation, like that there has been a Terran for eons, within this story, and we're just now discovering her. That's actually pretty big. It's again changes how this world works. Okay, so now this universe has Titan Transformers. Good to know. But while they're discussing, these two, our Chaos Terrans are trying to access her spark chamber because if they can get chaos energy into her, they can corrupt her and take control of her mind. So, pretty big plot here. But we also discover that's what Starscream's been after this whole time. It's why he wanted the old hard drives, and it's why he's wanted the Emberstone. He knew about this giant bot under the city. And it's what even Ghost was implying when they were kind of like revealing themselves at the end of season 1. So we're kind of wrapping up a lot of stuff here. The party ends when the report is sent in. Okay, now the world's in danger. Let's all get serious again, right? And that leads to a showdown. Both sides are now aware that with Terratronus discovered, it is now time to get the Emberstone together. So both sides have the exact same idea. Go try and get the other half of the stones. So this leads to our first all Autobot and Terran versus all Decepticon battle in the Decepticon stronghold, which is a cool fight scene, but I will admit I can tell where the animation and the choreography is a little bit limited, because they are obviously like not showing, dozens of bots fighting at the same time. It's usually, one fight that crosses over the scene while another fight's happening behind it. Things like that to kind of limit the choreography, but, and make it a little bit easier for the animators, but that also kind of takes away from the scale of the fight. I would like to see all of them out and battling, even if it's just for a moment, just so I can tell a huge fight's going on. So with that going on, that creates a lot of distractions on both sides. The only Terran left behind to guard the base is Thrash, who, okay, fine. But when you're dealing with the advanced stealth tech of Spitfire, that doesn't get you very far. She sneaks in, she blindsides them with a grenade, and she steals the shards for herself. Meanwhile, the exact same thing is happening at Decepticon HQ, except it's Twitch and Robbie who have broken into the Citadel, and they are also collecting them. This time, though, Shockwave is on the alert. He's the one who is left to guard the shards, and he lets Robbie leave with them. See, this is the episode where we also find out that Shockwave and Starscream have very different ideals and priorities when it comes to what they should be doing here on Earth. For Shockwave, the important thing is to return to Cybertron. Earth is not offering them what they really need, and it is not, basically it's a waste of time in his view. The priority should be getting home. Whereas Starscream's mentality is, I have no proof that Cybertron is still there, thus I'm taking this planet for ourselves. This is where he starts dropping a phrase, new Cybertron. He's very intent on Earth being new Cybertron, and controlling a Titan is how he's going to take over. It's an interesting split, because anytime we throw a Shockwave into fiction, he's always got something of his own agenda going on. With very few exceptions. The G1 cartoon, the current Skybound book. Other than that, it seems like Shockwave very much, has his own plans separate from whoever's leading the Decepticons at the time. It's nice to see them sewing that here, because I would believe Shockwave is the lead Decepticon villain above Starscream based on Starscream's depiction in Season 1. Even Shockwave's depiction in Season 1 has him more amicable with, Autobots and Terrans. So this is still weird to me that we've kind of gone back to the traditional. It still feels like someone at Hasbro had like a knee-jerk reaction and just like went, no, go back to status quo. This new thing ain't working. I'd really like to know someday just how much Hasbro meddling went in on the writer's room, because it seems like the individual ideas are really good. They just died out, unfortunately. The fight ends when Robbie has to give up the Ember Shards to save his father. Family first, after all. Which does mean the Decepticons are the ones who get to put it together. Strangely enough, it seems like Spitfire is the one who's able to control it the best. I mean, Chaos Terran and all that, but yeah, like the Emberstone did not like rip the shard out of her, so kind of surprising. The shard also managed to steal the energy out of all the Autobots and Decepticons present at the time. So everyone is disabled. There is nothing on the field left except Shockwave and Spitfire, who then take off for the Titan. That means the only ones we have available to us right now are Thrash, Hashtag, who is down inside of Terratronus at this time, and Robbie and Mo, who are unaffected by, Energon Surge type shenanigans. Things start going rough. Yeah, there you go. I forgot I had a visual example of the freezing. Of course I did. Of course I had a visual example of the freezing. It's that moment inside Terratronus, by the way, where we finally touch on Season 1's interaction between Hashtag and Starscream. Because that really does seem to be such a lost, interesting element. Starscream as having, a trauma survivor mindset. And actually seeing, parallels with Hashtag, generally seeming concerned for her during the fight with the Dweller, to the point of even, putting himself in danger so she could escape. That's not a very Starscream thing to do. And it's a really, really interesting take on Starscream because it's coming from that victim mentality he suffered under Megatron. They completely throw it away here. None of that remains. They are focused only on Starscream's advice to take care of yourself, which he is putting in one of his most selfish mindsets when he is doing this. And that is also from the fact that he's destroying his own team to finish his ambitions. It's not enough to have most of the Emberstone, he needs all of it, meaning he needs the Chaos Terrans. So, yeah, kind of inevitable. Easy to see that coming. It's Starscream after all. Of course he's going to betray them. Yeah, Aftermath goes first. And then in what is genuinely a scary moment, like Starscream acting like a horror movie villain, going after the shard inside of Spitfire. It's kind of sad to see these two go, because the way this episode finishes, there's really no way of getting those two back. You know, Aftermath, I could take or leave. He's just kind of like a punk kind of character, like very anti-authority, very like 90s slacker aesthetic kind of thing, which I guess that's why Flea from I guess that's why Flea from Red Hot Chili Peppers is voicing him. That fits. But when I think about like Spitfire, I feel like there's more interesting character there because she is such a duplicate for Twitch, but with advanced like abilities. And like I understand that she's just a repaint villain, so they could stock up the Terran side of the Decepticons a little bit more without making a brand new character model. But it is disappointing that like she didn't seem to have very long to really demonstrate, depth to the character. She really just kind of seemed mean and selfish. That's just kind of how she boils down. I also just really like having Zelda Williams in a Transformer project. I'm just going to say that too. So, sad to see her gone. So we have a rampaging Titan now. Starscream gets his own cyber sleeve and everything in order to take control, and now this gigantic Transformer is now just lumbering into Witwicky. So, despite the odds here, this is basically a Robbie and Mo moment. This is time for them to have like their like Superman one last stand kind of moment where they test how powerful they actually are. Keep in mind, there's a 1-year gap between season 1 and season 2 where they have been practicing and learning about their Quintus abilities. They also know now that, Quintus chose them for more than just controlling the stone. Like, literally, his power is in them now. So they test to see how far they can use it. They remember the dome shield that they could create, so they figure if they can create that again to contain it, and then try to summon the stone to them, maybe they can actually stop this thing. And you know what? In a pretty cool moment, admittedly, it does work. They do manage to seal off Terratronus inside this bubble long enough to actually have the Ember Stone extracted and brought to them. It's a little bit anticlimactic, it's like, go from like, here's this giant Titan, we've really only got 4 heroes left out of the entire cast. It's cool for them. It's cool for Robbie and Mo to show just how powerful they really are. And it does set up a lot for future episodes. The implication that it's not just like they were empowered by Quintus, they have Quintus's power, period. So how much of that power can they actually wield, and how much can they actually put out? The answer is a lot. The answer is a lot. So with the Titan basically brought back under control and completely dormant now, and just kind of like looming over the city, they have the Ember Stone again, and then it turns to dust. The MacGuffin of this entire series that everyone has been chasing down, and it just crumbles. All the last 10 episodes of like struggling to find all of these shards, get them back together so that they can restore Quintus's relic, and then just kind of dissolves. Just kind of dissolves. They do kind of take it as something of a learning moment. I do like that. They're like, now we know what we can do. I don't think we need the stone anymore. I think what the stone can do, we can now do. So if Robbie and Mo are actually capable of like everything that the stone can do, like if they could actually create a new Terran themselves, that might actually be interesting. I might like to actually get a look at that. And then of course, like when we see the extent of their power, you go, well, like, what else can they do? Because it seems like they've been given like Green Lantern abilities, in that if they can think it, they can do it. They can merge, they can merge themselves, they can merge Transformers together to create, like more powerful vehicles. They can create weaponry, they can create these shields, etc. So it leaves us to wonder. And it kind of leaves us on that moment of like, here we actually saved the day ourselves. We actually could stand and be the heroes. We stopped Starscream's big plan. Shockwave has machinations of his own. So that's where we're leaving off. And then the Quintessons are still going to be a thing. I don't think they designed a Quintesson for this series unless they plan to use it. So it leaves us in an interesting little spot. Yeah, if the series got canceled before they could get past episode 10, I could see them actually leaving it off here. It's not a satisfying conclusion, but it is technically an end point. But I feel like it's the same end point we hit 10 episodes into Earthspark as well, where, there's absolutely places we can still go. And obviously with things like, the real Quintessons and Shockwave, we have set seeds for the next set of episodes. And there's still lingering things out there too. I'm still waiting for Tarantulas to come back around. He's the only Decepticon that we haven't seen since his introduction. And he's like the most amicable one. So I really want to know what happened to him. And I really want this series to continue. I want this series to reach a conclusion, because this is aside from a few weird facts and maybe a little Deus Ex ending for the episodes, this is a nice set of 2 episodes to finish off the first half of the season. I think where this season had some flaws to its writing, this does show that it can still write a really good, cool episode. So I still have hope for the series. I still want it to turn around and show me hey, it was worth doing this to Starscream, and it's worth going back to the status quo because we're going to do this with the story now. And I hope it's worth it, and I want to give it that chance. Still enjoying the show. I still think not enough people give it credit. But that's the finale. That's the entirety of season 2. And hopefully this time I'll remember to playlist everything so you can watch all the reviews in one sitting. But that is going to be it for me today. Thank you very much for watching. Go watch Earthspark. I will still champion this series. It's got its low moments, but it also has some really cool high moments and some really different storytelling for the series. So, yeah, still a good show in my opinion. So thank you everyone for watching. I will see you next time.